we both were influenced by different sources. I from Latin American music, a lot of Latin American music, and Misha with Greek music, as well as world music. So we kept on being drawn to music styles from different parts of the world and then arranging them for our instrumentation. And that was kind of the beginnings of our the genre that we were inspired to work from.
Yeah, I think a lot of the idea that started this group was to use our instruments to be able to emulate other string instruments from around the world as well. As far as, you know, there's a lot of violin used all over the world in folk music, and technically speaking, the cello is just a bigger version of the same instrument. So there's no reason why a cello shouldn't be able to play all those same violin melodies. And the harp is used widely around the world as well in lots of different settings, and lots of different instruments that are not necessarily called harp, but are basically a harp-like instrument. And so we wanted to see how much our instruments could do and how many different approaches we could take to the same instrument.
I love that thinking. I love the way you guys think about that. That's great. Yeah, it's very creative the way you guys are all working together and coming up with new ways. And you've also played some. Well, the venue I saw you at was very interesting. Wasn't there some woman walking around with electric wings, or she was all illuminated?
Yeah, she was like a fairy something or other. They were trying to like promote some kind of fairy light gathering going on like in the near future or something. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
First Fridays are pretty crazy. I mean, you see like a lot of different characters, and it's really interesting for us. We were coming in from San Francisco for that, and you know, Oakland is a little bit more accepting of its wackos and people who are just like really, you know, wildly creative and you know, free to express it, you know, which is great.
I'm glad they accept their wackos. They have some interesting, because First Fridays was very, very interesting. A lot of that. Any other interesting venues you guys have played at that stick out in your mind?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's one of the blessings of being a musician, is that if you say yes to a lot of opportunities, you're going to get some pretty interesting ones that come along, you know?
Yeah, actually the day after that gig, we played another gig up in Sonoma at this really awesome, like, Spanish-style villa for this kind of, like, Alice in Wonderland themed party.
Wow.
So there was, like, you know, Mad Hatter tea parties going on, and just all these different rooms in this mansion, and there's different stages with different people, and so that was pretty interesting.
That was definitely one of our more out there shows.
We've also gone down to Mexico City a couple times and played stuff down there, and been in a couple harp festivals and stuff like that. So we just like to go around and experience, you know, what the world has to offer for performance opportunities.
What is the audience like in Mexico City, and how do they react to your music?
Well, there's a huge harp culture in Latin America, so they were absolutely thrilled, and were, you know, some of these like percussion instruments that I was bringing along, they've never even seen before, and so I think we kind of blew some minds down there, and they're extremely appreciative. We'd play a lot of music on the street and also in venues, and everywhere we went, people really, really, really liked it and just experienced something they'd never heard before.
If I'm a huge String Quake fan, am I a String Quaker?
Yes.
Sure. That's
You've
good.
coined a new term. We like it.
That might be a new term for us, actually.
How difficult is it to transport the harp and the cello to different gigs and whatnot? Is it any more difficult than...
Percussion is difficult.
They all have their different challenges. I took up electric harp about 2 years ago now, with part of the reason of being heard, because the acoustic harp is just harder to put up a connected sound system, actually get the quality tone you want. So my electric harp is carbon fiber now, so it's a lot easier to transport than a wood acoustic harp. But I still have to be very careful and have a travel case and cross my fingers.
Does it so it needs to be retuned, all the strings, when you get to look? I don't know anything about a harp, so.
Yeah, I don't tune them down when I travel with my harp, but it does get out of tune, and then I just constantly have to retune it regardless. Wow. So, but it doesn't get out of tune as much as an acoustic harp, so that's nice, but it's still, a harp is a harp, you know, each string is only technically one tone, so you know, I've got 32 strings on my electric harp, and each time I travel and go around, I have to retune. And then our music also requires sometimes keys that, as a lever harpist, I can only get to by retuning to flats, because I only have a neutral and sharp with the lever. I don't have a flat for each note.
Wow.
So it's a little more complex, but it's worth the while.
And then Misha's got to tune his cello.
Yeah, I definitely have to tune my cello, and you know, every musician really who has an instrument other than maybe a keyboard player should be tuning their instrument before every gig, because you just never know. You know, I mean, you just always have to be checking to make sure that you're as well in tune as you can be. Even if you think you are, you know, it might not match what the other musicians on stage with you are tuned to, and then adjustments have to always be made.
And Josh, your percussion, what is it? And what is, I forget, what's the name of that box thingy that you?
The box thingy is called a cajon.
Oh, okay.
But in this group, I also play a couple other drums, including frame drum, doumbek, tabla. We're working on a piece with some congas. And I play a lot of different percussion instruments, so when we kind of come up with new materials, I just kind of see, you know, which voice will fit best for that piece.
And how did you guys come up with the name String Quake?
Well, we were struggling because we knew we needed a name, and we hadn't figured one out yet, so we just had a brainstorming session one day at Amelia's house a couple of years ago. And, you know, we needed something that suited what we were doing, but also
it's catchy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wanted it to be something short and could stick in people's minds, but strings, because obviously I play a string instrument and so does Amelia. You know, a lot of the music is being made by strings and then with the added percussion. But the quake part is kind of, I think it was partially because we were thinking about how we were attempting to break ground with the way that we used our instruments. So quake, earthquake, as in, you know, groundbreaking or something. We wanted to think of ourselves as attempting to break the established ways of approaching the cello or the harp, and then of course the quake can also apply to the percussion as the quaking element as well.
I see. Yeah, and it works. The three of you and just the strings, the percussion, just really all mixes so nicely, and it makes you want to dance. It makes you want to stand and float away like a wee little fairy. No, I was just thinking of the Electric Fairy Woman for a second there.
Yeah, well, that's all part of it. So thank you.
And you guys have great fashion sense.
Oh wow, thank you.
I've seen some pictures you guys have on, like some like concert clothes.
Oh yeah.
For different.
Done a couple photo shoots and brought a couple different styles to the table.
We experiment with looks. You know, in Mexico City, the back of our CD is from the Pyramid of the Moon at Teotihuacan outside of Mexico City. And then, you know, we have images from just like hotels downtown in San Francisco. So kind of look at different venues and spaces to experiment with.
Oh, wow. Gosh. And the website, they can see some of the places you've played at and are going to play at, stringquake.com. And you have you've got 3 songs on the website, and also a link to SoundCloud, and you're on Facebook, and you also have a YouTube video. And I'm going to play the song Take 15. How did this one come about?
So basically, I was in a hotel room just hanging out one day, practicing guitar, and I was working on like a certain finger picking pattern that I just wanted to kind of find something new and to work on as a technical exercise, but randomly I came across this idea that I really liked and ended up adapting it to the cello, and then brought it to the band, and we made it into a song, and it just sort of developed organically. But the original material that I built the song off of almost disappeared into the actual song. The song just slowly evolved its way until it was done.
Oh, neat. Wow. And it just transformed into a String Quake song.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to play it right now. And thank you, Amelia, Misha, and Josh, for spending time on Mike's Daily Podcast, and keep playing that great music you're doing together.
Thank you.
Will do. Thanks for putting us out here. Thank you very much.
Quake and Take 15. They call it that because it's based on a 15 beat, which I have no idea how you do that. As we go outside Last Place on Earth, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California.